With over 17 minutes remaining in the second half of Kansas's recent game against Oklahoma State, Darren Peterson hit this three-pointer to give them a 13-point lead. This was his 23rd point in just 18 minutes, 23 points on just 12 shots, and his 6th three-pointer in just over a half of college basketball. And this is who Darren Peterson is, the potential #1 overall pick in this year's draft. An absolute microwave scorer, averaging over 20 points whilst shooting 43% from three. A guy who has drawn comparisons to a young Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, even Kobe Bryant at times. But it's not his game which people are questioning. It's what he did after that three-point make that has NBA scouts, NBA fans, and NBA media members all saying the same things about Darren Peterson.
There is no team in hell that should grab Darren Peterson #1. You cannot do it.
What you didn't see from that clip of him hitting that three-point shot was what he did afterwards. Watch as Peterson immediately points to his coach Bill Self, telling him, "I'm done. Take me out." Now, let's just rewind that clip. Does it look like Peterson injured himself on that play? Do you see a level of discomfort? No, this wasn't someone calling to the bench in pain or discomfort. This was a player literally reversing the roles of the player and coach dynamic, with Peterson saying to his coach, "Yeah, like, that's cool, but it's time for me to sit out. You guys have fun though." And this is not the first time this has happened. In fact, just over a month ago, with just over 2 minutes remaining in a game only separated by 9 points, watch Peterson ask to be subbed out whilst the ball is traveling his way, resulting in a turnover. Or just 10 days ago, when Kansas were up against Arizona, we had this clip of a stats guy for ESPN texting someone about the reason behind Peterson not playing. So he's sick and he didn't tell anyone in practice. And Bill said, "Don't half-ass it if you're gonna play. If not, sit." DP said, "Fuck it, I'm out." Okay, maybe let's just call him Darren. I'm not too sure on those initials. But obviously Kansas came out after the game and said, "This is all fake. This guy only works for ESPN. He doesn't have any insider information." And honestly, it's kind of like the KD burner situation. You can choose what to believe, but why would he text his friend without knowing someone behind him is recording him, potentially put his job in jeopardy if he's just lying? I don't really get the point of doing that, but what we don't need to speculate was the fact Darren did miss that game against Arizona with illness, which was just one of several games he's missed this year, including missing 2 games for cramps. Guys, cramps are no joke. Anyone who's played sport has had cramps before. They hurt. But missing 2 whole games for cramps, that's something I haven't heard of before, I'll be completely honest. And then you have the other times this season where he has sat out most of the second half or subbed himself out of games. This is not a one-off incident. This is a pattern, and even Bill Self doesn't really know what to say anymore.
Well, we've had it more than a couple of times. I didn't anticipate that tonight at all. I thought he was good to go. We only got 18 minutes out of him. That's disappointing because he could have had a really big night.
This is also what doesn't make sense. He was on a heater. They were not up by 30 points, they were up by 13 points. And we have seen guys like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, whenever the great shooters get on heaters, they don't want to go to the bench. They are angry when they have to go to the bench. Yet someone, after hitting his 6th three-pointer with a chance to go off for like 45 points, goes to his coach and says, "I've had enough." This is the part that doesn't really add up to me, and it's the fact he was so casual about it. And you compare this to the other 2 top prospects in this year's class, AJ Debonsa and Cameron Boozer, with AJ just playing 39 minutes against Arizona after playing 43 minutes the game before and 40 minutes before that, or Cameron Boozer, who has played above 35 minutes in every non-blowout game this season, and as a result, you have people asking these kind of questions about DP. Darren.
His talent is unquestionable. It don't feel like he really wants to be there.
And we aren't idiots. We know his one goal is to make the NBA. And as someone who talks about the NBA, I completely understand and agree with his decision to look out for his own interests. But like I said, there's just a level of detachedness with the way he goes about this that makes this look strange. And there's two ways to look at this. He really does love basketball, and in spite of being injured, in spite of caring about his interests of making the NBA, he's playing through those injuries. He's deciding, I'm going to give it the best I can and limit those minutes so I don't further my injuries and ruin my draft stock. Or there's the opposite, that he doesn't love the game, that he's not well conditioned enough to play more than 25 minutes, and that teams should have legitimate concerns about building around him as their face of their franchise. And just because everyone has been running with that narrative that he doesn't love basketball, I will say this is what Bill Self said earlier in the season about this. I've read some of the narratives out there about him, and it's really not remotely true. Was his hamstring legit? Hell yes. Was his cramping legit? Yes. Did he turn his ankle bad? Yes. He's had a string of bad luck. Those narratives are BS. Now, this was a month ago, and since then, we've had the clip from the bench, and you could see a noticeable shift in how Bill Self reacted after Peterson asked out this game versus before. But those injuries are legit. At the very least, he has had a reason to miss games and potentially sit out games because of a minutes restriction to not get further injured. But the reason this is such big news is because this is a stacked draft class, and if a team were to take him first overall, they could potentially be passing up on multiple franchise players. There is a reason every single detail of Darren Peterson's game and personality matters. If this was a guy projected to go in the second round, no one would care. But going number one in a stacked draft class, teams want to believe that you love basketball. And the reason he is still in contention for number one overall, despite only playing 26 minutes a night, he's still averaging 20 a game. He's still shooting 43% from three on nearly 50% from the field. From an on-court perspective, there aren't too many question marks at all. This is a high-level athlete who is an elite shooter, great in the mid-range, great off the ball, and has shown serious flashes on defense as well. If there is any on-court concern, it's strictly over his playmaking. A negative assist to turnover ratio, and he has 1 assist in his last 84 minutes of basketball. He's not the perfect prospect, but his athleticism, his shot making, his three-point shooting, it all makes him one of the best prospects in recent memory. And this is why this is such a big deal, that he is calling out to his coach and saying, yeah, no, I've had enough for tonight. You can sit me. But this isn't the first time an elite prospect has been questioned for his love of the game. You might not remember, but just a few years ago, Anthony Edwards was questioned for the exact same thing. Because in an interview, he said this, "I'm still really not into it. I love basketball, yeah, it's what I do." But he went on to say that he would leave to play NFL because there is more freedom in spiking the ball and celebrating and doing disrespectful things. And people made a massive deal out of this. Can you draft someone number one overall who only likes basketball, who doesn't love the game? Well, Anthony Edwards is now one of the faces of the NBA and clearly loves basketball. Or a situation that is more similar to Darren Peterson, Jalen Johnson. This is someone who stopped playing mid-year for Duke, shut himself down in preparation for the draft. Someone that had moved high schools, and people questioned, like Darren Peterson, is he someone you can rely on? Is he someone that will leave when the going gets tough? Does he love the game of basketball? Jalen Johnson, just like Anthony Edwards, has turned out to be one of the best young players in the NBA. And there have been cases where this has been true as well. Ben Simmons is the obvious one, even DeAndre Ayton now. But these guys are so talented, so good. The Ben Simmons still made multiple All-Star teams, but in a draft class this good, you want Darren Peterson to love the game as much as AJ DeBanza and Cam Boozer, because that might be what separates him from being a productive player and the face of your franchise.